Hi, so if you want to hear about my Christmas Eve birth story, then stay tuned. Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Renee, and I am going to tell you the story of how my little bunny came into the world. It was 4 years ago in a couple weeks. Her birthday was Christmas Eve, obviously, and we're in January now. Anyways, so it's been 4 years, and I figured I better record this for prosperity or I'm gonna lose it, because the more time goes by and the more I forget. Anyways, okay, so where do we start? Probably a few days before. I wasn't feeling any contractions yet, except for like a couple Braxton Hicks, nothing like crazy, nothing consistent that like, it would stop, you know, if you've been there. Anyways, so my mom flew in from Oregon and we were living in North Carolina at the time, and so that was really good to have her there. But being right before Christmas Eve, or right before Christmas, she was still doing a little last minute Christmas shopping for my little sister, and my stepdad, who they had just like literally just gotten divorced at that point, he was supposed to get my sister a puppy, and he kind of dropped the ball, and so my mom was like, crap, I have to get your sister a puppy, and I'm in North Carolina. So, being the geniuses that we are, we went to it was either Petco or PetSmart, but they were having a puppy thing going on, and we were like, we're just gonna look. Like, she's not gonna fly home with a puppy, that's silly. Lo and behold, we get a puppy. Her name's Faye, she's adorable. Anyway, so we weren't able to pick her up that day, and I wasn't in labor yet, but on the day that we were able to go pick up Faye, I had started feeling contractions. I don't think I had actually dragged everybody to the hospital yet, because I went multiple times and was kicked out multiple times because I was just like too worried about it, and I was like, it's happening now, but like I was just jumping the gun. So I think at that point I hadn't dragged them in yet, but I was definitely like, when we drove, we had to drive a little ways to get to the shelter where Faye was like actually at, and by the time we got there, I was definitely like feeling like, okay, something's happening here, but I was like, it's probably just still Braxton Hicks, right? Like, because I was totally like convinced, because if you read about like first-time moms, especially, there's like this statistic where like first-time Caucasian mothers tend to go like a week or even two like over their due date. So I was just like, I'm not gonna hit my due date. My due date was the 23rd. I was like, there's no way she's coming it's gonna be like another week. So I wasn't really worried about it, but by the time we got to the shelter, I was like, I can't get out of the car. Like, I'm feeling like, it was that bad to where I didn't feel comfortable like standing up for very long or getting out of the car. I was just like, I need to stay where I am at. I think it was that night was the first time, like, I think it was like 10 o'clock at night maybe, and I was like, okay, I want to say this was was this the 23rd? I don't remember how many. I definitely got kicked out 3 times. But I feel like, okay, let me think. See, this is why I have to do it. It's been so long. So, okay, maybe I was only kicked out twice. So I think what happened was, see, I need to record this right now or else I'm gonna completely forget. So I went in, I want to say it was around 10 o'clock on the 23rd, and I was feeling like I'd walked around a whole bunch, I'd done everything that they tell you to do, drink water, do all the things to get rid of the contractions, and they were still coming, and I was feeling them in my back, and so I think I was like kind of over exaggerating how bad it was, because it did hurt a lot because it was in my back, and I wasn't timing it. I know you're supposed to, but I was like, oh, I know, I can tell time, like, I can just do it, like, I can just think, and so I was like, it's pretty consistent, so I was like, alright, we should go. And I went there, and they checked me, and they were like, alright, go away. So I did, and then, it was probably like 3 or 4 a.m. We were on our way, and It's funny because we got stopped at a DOI checkpoint and the guy was like, oh, where are you going? And my husband's like, I'm taking my wife to the hospital because she's in labor. And the guy was like, oh, go, 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 go. And it was really funny. So, that happened. So we got there and he checked me, and I remember it was like something where I was like dilated like a few centimeters, but not enough to where they wanted to take me in. So he was like, just go walk around, go do something, come back at 7 a.m. And we're like, okay. So we went home, and I was really tired because I'd made us go there a couple times at that point in the middle of the night. So none of us had gotten any sleep. So we just went home, and at that point in my pregnancy, my bed was so uncomfortable and I just couldn't sleep in it. So I was sleeping on the couch a lot. So once again, I just laid down on the couch, and 7 a.m. rolled around, and my mom was like, woke me up. She's like, oh, do you want to go? And I was just like, I could barely open my eyes. I was just like, no. And so, I don't know if she called the hospital or my husband did. Somebody called the hospital, told them we weren't coming in at 7. They were just like, alright, I don't even think they cared. Anyway, so I kept sleeping until, I want to say like 10 or 11. I'm not really sure because at that point, all time just blurred away. And I was really feeling it then. Like, everything that I had thought was labor at that point was nothing compared to this. I woke up, first thing I did was just like barf. And then my mom was like, do you want to go? And I'd already been kicked out a couple times, so I was like, no, I'm probably fine, because I can be very stoic at times. And so I was like, no, I'm fine, barf again. And she was like, no, you are going now. So we all piled back into the car, went over there, and this time, by the time I got there, I was just like freaking out. I was like, this hurts, I need to go. When you go into it's an army hospital, it's at Fort Bragg, and it's huge if you've ever been there. So I just go running in the front door, just like flying past everyone. There's a soldier like running down the hall behind me with a wheelchair, and I was just like, no, and I like flew into the elevator, and like I'm like pushing the like closed door button as he's like trying to come at me with it, and I was just like, no, I don't need it, I want to go. By the time I got up to the floor where the labor and delivery was, I kind of wished I'd had it, but I was just like, oh, whatever. So we went into labor and delivery. They checked me, and I think I was still only like 7 or 8 at that point. So they weren't thinking like that anything was gonna happen. And like they weren't in a rush. Lo and behold, it only took like 45 minutes or like an hour or something like that before I was like at the point of pushing. Now pushing did take a long time, but before I get to that, so I'm laying on the bed in my gown, freaking out. And it was a Christmas Eve, so I guess nobody else was giving birth that day. So we had all 3 of the on-call OBGYNs in there. It was 2 dudes and this girl. They were all pretty young, like probably how old I am now, which is like 26. One of them was pretty good looking, according to my mom, who just couldn't shut up about it. She was like, oh, look at him. I'm like, I don't care. He's looking at my vagina, just like, I don't care at all. I don't even remember what he looked like, but she was very into him. Anyway, so yeah, so I had all 3 of them checking up on me, and the way that the Army like healthcare system works is the person that you go to see for your like prenatal appointments, they just have like a group, at least at the big one that I went to. Maybe it's different on smaller bases, but on Fort Bragg, you go and you see like different midwives, and you basically never get the same one unless you like really bug them about it, which I didn't. And so I didn't know any of the OB-GYNs when I got in there. No, I didn't know any of the doctors, except for like the 2 who had checked me beforehand. So the girl doctor, female doctor, woman doctor, I guess she's not a girl, she's a woman. Anyway, she comes in and she's like, I'm sitting there like, I need to push. And also I kept telling her that I wanted to go underneath the gurney bed thing, because, I don't know, I felt like a cat. Like, you know how cats like to give, and most animals like to give birth in, like, boxes or caves or, like, dark places. They, like, burrow, and I was like, I need to do that. I need to get out of here. I don't like all this harsh light. I want darkness. And nobody was listening to me because, I don't know, just maybe try a birthing center. Anyway. So she kept telling me, you can't go under there, but you can, if you want, you can push a little, like, just to relieve, like, some of the pressure. Just lightly push. Don't full on. So I'm like, okay, do not fucking listen to her. And I'm sitting there, like, pushing, like, I was trying not to push too hard, but I was still pushing, like, probably harder than I should have been. And that's when my water broke, right as, like, a nurse had just walked, like, at the foot of my bed in the way that I was laying. So I'm, like, laying like this, like, here's my legs, and this nurse, like, walks this way, and then I'm pushing, and then my water seriously just flies across this room. It was horrific and hilarious. For me, I feel really bad for whoever had to clean that up, because, like, ugh. But yeah, you always hear about people who, like, their water breaks and it's just like a trickle, or just like they just suddenly feel like they peed themselves. No, I was like a water cannon. I just shot it across the room. I think I hit the wall, which is impressive because it was a very large room. And yeah, my mom was just like, oh my god. So yeah, that happened. That's probably the best part of the story, other than the fact that from getting there to, or from waking up from my nap to, like, starting to push was probably like an hour and a half, and then pushing was probably another hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. It definitely took a while because at first I was just in there with, like, a couple of nurses, and they were just, like, kind of coaching me a little, but they didn't really give me the right instructions on where to push, how to push. I guess they just assumed I knew what the heck I was doing, and I didn't at all. And then finally one of the doctors comes in and he's like, oh, you shouldn't be tensing your legs up, you should be pushing from here, nah, nah, nah. And then finally, once he told me that, it was more of just, like, a few pushes, and then it was done. I think it would have been a lot faster had I known what the heck I was supposed to be doing. The thing that pissed me off, though, was that they kept telling me not to be loud, and they were, like, telling me to shut up, not shut up, but they were, like, shushing me a lot, and, like, you need to use your power to, like, push, and I get where they don't want me to waste my energy, especially since I'd been taking a while, but, like, I didn't feel that tired. I just wanted, like, I needed to scream a couple times, and I really wish they had stopped, like, yelling at me about that, but they know what they were doing. I didn't really, so I guess, like, I just tried to listen to them and tried to be quieter, and they kept shoving an oxygen mask on my face, and it was getting really annoying, and I understand that, like, I'm sure my stats told them that I needed it, but I was just like, get the thing off my face. I felt more suffocated with that thing on my face, just, like, mentally suffocated than, like, with it off, but once again, they know what they're doing, I don't, so. And then, one of the other things was, when I was pushing, I tried to crack a joke to, relieve tension, because I'm kind of one of those people who tries to crack jokes, and I think it flew, actually, I know for a fact it flew over, like, my husband's head, and I'm pretty sure it flew over everybody else's head, too, so I was like, haha, I should've gotten that epidural, and then they were just like, between screams, I, like, tried to make a joke, and no, so the doctor was just like, it's too late for that, and I was like, oh no, it was a joke, like, okay, so maybe don't crack epidural jokes in the middle of, labor, because they don't get what you're talking about. So yeah, then she came out and I was just like, oh my god, this child is humongous, because she was almost 9 pounds. She was 8 pounds, 13 ounces, and you know how sometimes when you do a vaginal birth, like, their head gets kind of, like, squashed and, like, looks a little, like, you know, most newborns look like. Her head was not squashed at all. She came out with, like, I don't know, like, how their head looks after it, like, reforms back to a normal head shape. And I was like, what the heck? Like, seriously? Why is it not, like, what's the damage, basically? I was like, oh my god, I'm destroyed. I must be destroyed, because there's no way that came out of me and didn't wreck me. Turns out I had, like, when she was stitching me up, she may have just said this to make me feel better, but she was just like, I'm just stitching this up so it heals better, but honestly, like, you'd probably be fine if I didn't stitch it up. So, I don't know, I didn't see it, I didn't touch it, I didn't look in with a mirror. I know some people like to check, but I just was like, okay, I'll take your word for it because I'm horrified. Yeah. And then one other thing I want to add to this. So, like I said, I had like this whole audience of doctors in there, but I also had this one, because I told you I saw a lot of midwives during my time. And one of the times I went in and I told her that they ask you the same questions every single time because they will only see you once. And anyway, she asked me when I went in for the checkup, like, are you planning on using an epidural? And I said, no, I'm gonna have a natural birth. And she was like, okay, sure. And she literally said, you're gonna change your mind. And I was like, no, I'm not. So she was in there, in the delivery room. I think she came in just to, like, see if I was gonna, I don't know. I basically got to rub her face in the fact that I did a natural birth. I guess not a lot of people at that hospital do it naturally. Because, I mean, I only did it naturally. One, because I was just terrified of the needle. And then two, my mom got an epidural when she was in labor with me. And it slowed down her labor. And she actually had to be taken, like, she had to let it, like, run its course and then have me naturally. And so I was really afraid that that would happen to me too. And, like, you hear about it a lot. People get the epidural, their labor slows down, and then they have to have a C-section. And I was like, no. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to just have the recovery be easy, because people think that C-sections are easier, but then you're having, like, major surgery. The doctors told me that, like, over the past couple days, I had been the only one who had done it naturally, and they kept telling me this for a couple days, because, right when we were about to be discharged, my daughter, like, she was, breathing quickly to the point where they felt like they needed to keep her for observation, which is, like, great, like, please, I don't want you to send me home with a sick baby. So we ended up staying there for, like, 4 days. They kept saying, like, oh, we're so amazing, and, like, maybe they just push epidurals, maybe that, like, really mean midwife is, like, scaring women, because, like, I didn't think it was that ridiculous that I did it au natural. So yeah. But I'm really glad I did, because when I went to the, like, discharge class where they basically tell you don't shake your baby, it's like an hour of don't shake your baby, I was the only woman there that was, like, up and walking around and, like, didn't have, like, a weird limp from, like, epidural, or, like I was basically ready to, like, run out of there, like, I was fine, and I really attribute that to just doing it naturally. Like, yes, you have that pain, it sucks. Oh my god, it sucks. But then, like, recovery, assuming nothing goes wrong, and it's just, like, not painless, but it's quick, and then you're good. Not that I'm hating on anybody who does the epidural, because, you know what, I'd probably do it the next time if I were gonna do it again, but I'm totally not, for many reasons. Anyways, let's see. I feel like there's a couple other things I want to mention. One, okay, when the baby's crowning and your, sorry for the hand movements, but your vag is opening, it's called the ring of fire, that, like, feeling of stretching that you get. And so, of course, because I knew this, as soon as I started feeling that, Johnny Cash, Ring of Fire, in my head. I don't even know that song very well. I know, like, 4 lyrics of it, still stuck in my head for, like, most of the time while I was pushing. Oh my gosh. So yeah, sorry if that happens to you too. But yeah, maybe listen to the song so you know more than, like, 2 lyrics. It was just like, I fell into a burning ring of fire. Done. And then that over and over and over and over and over. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to the story. That was basically it. Oh, no, I remember. So I tested positive for strep B, and so a big part of it is when you come in, you're supposed to get antibiotics 4 hours before you start pushing. And of course I was only there for like an hour, and so they were like basically like, you can't start this until the antibiotics are in your body, and the bag was still like half full, and she was like coming out, and I was like, nothing I can do. I'm not gonna hold her in. Like, I am all the centimeters dilated. Like, we're doing this. It's done. Let's go. Like, I'm not gonna hold her in. And so that is one of the reasons that they were like, she's breathing hard. You need to stay here a couple more days. And so, like, I totally understood. So, yeah. Ended up having the antibiotics in me basically for no friggin' reason because she came out too soon. But, I don't know. Nobody could have predicted that. That was just, like, every labor is different, basically. But, one thing that I attribute to making this fast is I read an article that if you eat, like, a shit ton of dates, like, the month leading up to your labor, it's gonna be fast. So what did I do? I basically lived off of Larabars. Yeah, Larabars, which are expensive as heck, but they're made out of dates. And I, like, from, like, when the labor got to the point where I couldn't sleep to getting her out, super fast. So, I mean, there was a couple days of, like, pains and, like, contractions and, like, pre-labor stuff, but no, like, real labor until that morning when I, like, literally couldn't sleep anymore. Like, we had to go. So, it was pretty fast. And it's so funny because it was so hectic and crazy that, like, she had been out probably for 45 minutes before one of the doctors was like, it was a pediatrician. He was like, what's the time of delivery? And everybody's like looking around at each other, like trying to figure it out and like looking at the clock, like trying to like think in their head. And then finally my mom's like, I don't know, like 12:48, let's just go with that one. And everybody's like, yeah, sure, why not? So nobody actually knows exactly when my daughter was born, but it was around there. It was pretty funny. It was just like, just a room full of like doctors and nurses just being like, I don't know. It was like, I was like laughing because I was like, really? Nobody looked at the clock? So yeah, that's the whole story. That is everything that is worth talking about, I think. Everything else was pretty normal. I got the mesh panties, got that little squeezy bottle, which is super awesome. There's nothing else of note. Don't put your kid in footy pajamas if they have the little anklet thing, because I got her all ready, and at the hospital I was at, they want you to get the baby completely stuck in the car seat before they'll take the anklet off, but then I had her in footy pajamas because it was December. And so it was just like really awkward trying to like, because at first they didn't want to take her out of this car seat to get the anklet off, but we had to get, I don't know, maybe it was just the nurse was just being like an idiot, but maybe go with socks and unfooted outfit, because yeah, that was just like super weird and awkward of like, okay, yes, you've checked her straps, okay, let's take her out so you can get the anklet. It was like the little don't steal babies alarm, what I'm talking about. So I was like, okay, you've checked the straps, now I have to take her out so you can get this thing off of her because I have to unzip her pajamas. And the nurse was like, no, we can't do that. What if you put her back in the car seat wrong? And I'm like, I gotta put her back in the car seat like 5,000 more times, so like, you just gotta trust me on this one. Like, let's take her out and get the damn anklet off. So, yeah. I still have those pajamas, they're super cute. Anyway, I think that's the last thing. And then we went home. Now she's a healthy 4-year-old and she is not here right now, and I'm gonna say bye. Subscribe if you want to be friends. Comment if you want to keep the conversation going, and like if you made it this far, because you must like it if you made it this far, right?